Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Gabe,
It's Caleb.
and you guys are tuning in for another episode of the Positive Outlook Podcast. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Okay, so as we know, every great episode starts with what?
An icebreaker.
An icebreaker. And whose turn is it?
It is Caleb's.
It's my turn. Okay, I gotta not do thumbs ups just in case we set off fireworks here.
Yeah,
Um,
inside joke.
so where is one point in your life that you could exercise more patience?
Um, man, something I could exercise more patience in. I want to say the easy one, just off the top of my head, would be my health.
Okay.
And I feel like that's probably true for a lot of people, is when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to health, whether it's weight loss, dietary restrictions, anything like that, is they are pretty difficult things to see results in immediately, if that makes sense. So the
Yeah,
instant gratification is not there no matter what. So you struggle and you push yourself and you try to do these things and you're not seeing any instant results, which is makes it really easy to fall back to your old ways because you feel like whatever you're doing just isn't worth it, you know?
right. Yep.
So, what about you?
For me, I would say the gym is definitely one of them. I've been consistently back for about a month and a half, and over the past couple of weeks, I've finally started having a little bit of like exponential growth in what I'm pushing up, but nothing else is really changing around it. And so it's like as far as just physique and like certain things like that. So there's a little bit of there, but I would say another big one is financial,
Mm-hmm.
my financial well-being. I've gotten on a pretty strict budget over the past few weeks. I guess about a month now. And I'm still kind of waiting to feel the benefits of being on a stricter budget because
I
there's a
know,
lot of things turning
right?
around and
Yep.
it's a little painful sometimes.
Yeah. I do also want to say, anyone who's watching on YouTube, this is a perfect time for us to interject and to remind you that we are streaming live on Twitch every time we record an episode, and we've got a viewer that says parenting. Parenting is a place that they wish. What was the question? That they had more patience? Yes. So absolutely. So, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to tune in to our Twitches on Wednesday so that you guys can put in input as well as we're recording. So now, Caleb, when it comes to
Mhm.
having more patience and recognizing it, how do you move forward from that?
When it comes to having more patience
Yeah.
and
So
recognizing it.
yeah. So like in that instance there, where you're saying budgeting something that you want to have more patience to. Now you recognize it. So how do you move forward?
Well, so the way I like to look at it is I like to just kind of keep that end goal in mind. And it's one of those things where you have to understand that it's a process. It's not something that's going to be instant.
Yep.
And so it's kind of something you just have to kind of suck up and just keep working at it because eventually you will start to see the benefits of it, even though you don't right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Finish the quote. Nothing changes if.
Nothing changes.
Absolutely. So that's another thing. You know, some people always talk about that, like they're kind of scared to take the next step or kind of scared to move in a certain direction because they're not sure what outcome will come from it. And I think it's really important to take a step back and understand that what's scarier? Is it scarier that in a year you could be exactly where you are now, or that you're down this different path of the unknown? Which one is scarier for you? And I think that's really important to look at.
And I think it's just, again, it's really important to understand that anything that is worth doing takes time.
Yes.
It's really important to keep that in mind as you're starting your journey because some of the hardest parts, as we've talked about in previous episodes, is not necessarily starting, but keeping the momentum, keeping the habits, keeping everything that's getting you on this course.
Right. Now, how would you define? So, say somebody wants to make a big change in their life. So they change up their routine, they change up their habits, whatever it may be that they're trying to achieve. They change up their situation and they're moving down this certain path and they're not seeing any results and they're not happy with it. What would you tell them?
Well, the difficult part with that is it kind of depends on the specific situation because there are times where it's going to take a ridiculous amount of time to start getting
Mhm.
results. But there is a chance that if you've been doing something long enough and you're getting no results that you want, maybe you have to reanalyze what you're doing and
Mhm.
kind of change your plan up in order to adjust to get the results you're looking for. So, like one
Yeah.
example We talked about going to the gym. Well, I was very upset with just the general shape of my body, and so I started working out again. Well, I was not happy about how my bench was. It was less weight than I really wanted to be lifting for my 3 sets of 5.
Right.
And so what I did was I went back, I started videotaping my form, and now I can look at my form and alter my form. And now my bench has improved greatly. And same with my deadlift. I went back, I started rewatching. I have these like, what do you call it? I cannot think of the word right now. It's literally just a video that shows you the form that you're supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched it a million times, but I always go back and rewatch it because there's always something that I can improve on my form.
Right.
And so by just making these minor changes, I'm already getting better results. So sometimes if it feels like you're chasing your tail, you might be.
Right.
And it might be time to reanalyze and make sure you're not doing something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that advice. It's right? Let's take this example. So, I'm fat, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. What am I going to do about it? Well, media tells me I should start eating salads. So, what do? I start eating salads instead of the food I do every day. Now I am fat, depressed, anxious, and I'm hungry because I'm not going to be able to just stick with that. That's not something that necessarily I know is going to work for me. So you feel like you're kind of heading in the opposite direction and that it's struggling. So now most people in this instance, what they do is they just throw out the entire plan. They say, you know what? It's not going to work for me. I don't have the discipline for it. I'm going to go back to who I was. And now I'm back to just ground zero. Instead, look at your situation, reanalyze. Maybe you can continue eating how you are and work more so on getting more action, right? Going out, moving more, going for a walk, going to the gym, and then slowly work on your diet after that, right? Kind of like how we talk about brick by brick, focusing on the things, I guess, in your life that you can change immediately and have a little bit more comfort in so that it's not necessarily cold turkeying on everything that you love in life and just immediately switching over to discipline.
And the beautiful thing about working on anything that you're working on is that there's all sorts of different ways to do it. And so one way might not work for you, but when you go back to the drawing board, when you start doing more research and everything, you can go back and find a route that works for you. For me, eating salads isn't going to cut it.
Yep.
For some people, that's the best way to go about it, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But it also depends. You have to remember when you're searching for a plan, you have to remember not all of us have the same goal in mind. Not all of us are starting at the same point as well. And that was a big thing for me when I kind of backslid and was trying to get back to where I was.
Yeah.
Just as far as mental fitness was, I wasn't taking into account all these things I was trying to apply to my life. The fact that I'm not in that position yet.
Right.
I have more groundwork to go back, as we said in a previous episode, go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And keep building up. And so you do have to keep in mind that your situation might be unique in certain ways, but that doesn't mean there isn't a way out of it.
Absolutely. Beautiful said. Zapper, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. And Zapper, I don't know if you're new here. If you want to go check out our YouTube channel as well, that's where we started.
He knows our YouTube channel. That's Luke, my roommate.
Oh, okay. What's up, Luke? Thanks for tuning in, man. Awesome. So yeah, sorry, jump back into it. Absolutely. I love the idea of going back to the basics because what we were talking about in that episode previously is just that sometimes you have such a high expectation of who you should be or who you think you are that you get humbled really quickly and it can be kind of embarrassing. What we talked about, really, we'll just use it as an example, the gym. Like we used to be monsters in the gym. Like you and I used to go for 3 hours a day, no remorse. Like that's what we love to do. And then we kind of split paths and neither of us really we didn't really have our accountability partner there with us, right? So we weren't necessarily going at it as hard. Now recently I've been trying to get back into the gym and man, I cannot do what I used to be able to do. And it kind of it humbles you, right? And like I said,
Yes.
it can be kind of embarrassing to the point where you're like, well, I don't want to try because I don't want other people know where I used to be and now they see where I'm at now. Like that's kind of embarrassing. So I'm just not going to do anything at all.
And that's crazy because I was literally thinking the exact same thing as far as humility. It really does humble you when you have to go back to the absolute simple basics. Sometimes you have to go back to the basics to the point of, I'm going to eat 3 meals today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going like the basics. You really do have to come off of a pedestal
Yeah.
sometimes in order to get yourself to grow. And it's a little patronizing to myself because I used to tell my brother when I was trying to get him into the gym more, I was like, dude, I would rather see you put up 5 pounds dumbbells doing any exercise than having like some big weight that your
Mm-hmm.
form is just awful.
Yep.
And then I'm sitting here having to go back to these tiny little weights, and I'm just like, wow, this is embarrassing.
Yep.
But I don't think that embarrassment is really necessarily a negative thing
Not at
because
all.
that is one of my biggest motivators is the fact that I can only do this now
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to do this. I know what I'm capable of
Right.
and now I have to build back to that. And it's very motivating.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like our episode, setting precedences, right? It's
Mhm.
understanding in your life when you have those challenges or when you push yourself to new heights, that no longer, like, everybody in their life has a belief system. Everybody believes that there's a limit to what they are able to do, and they reach that point, and then they either become complacent or in a good situation they keep pushing themselves. But most people just
Mhm.
become complacent in that instance. And so going from there, once you reach what you thought was your belief system, when you can overcome that, then everything in your life that you believe is limiting you no longer does anymore, and it just allows yourselves to sprout so much more.
And it really does give me a lot of just confidence in what I'm able to do, not only knowing what I'm capable of, but knowing what the human body and spirit is capable of achieving no matter what.
Yep, the indomitable
Because
human spirit.
because sometimes, so I've never been a super cleanly person, because back when I used to come over to your apartment, I'd have one little bag and it would just be exploding with clothes in the
Yep.
little corner. But that's one thing that I've really been driving myself to do is just become a super clean person for multiple reasons. Go
Yeah.
back way back. I think it's episode 2, or
You're a
I don't
product
know.
of your
No, no, no.
environment.
Episode 4. Yeah, you're a product of your environment.
Yep.
Call back to a long time ago.
Yep.
But there's multiple different reasons why, and the biggest one for me though is the discipline that comes from it because it's not that difficult to put your clothes away, to
Right.
pick up whatever you just got out. But doing it every day, especially after a tough day where you just want to climb into bed and go to sleep, sometimes it feels like the most impossible task, as silly as that sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something I've really been working on is just trying to keep my room clean because of the multiple benefits from it. But just the fact that I know, okay, picking up this sock and putting it in the hamper
Yep.
or holding this pair of jeans or whatever it is, like
Right.
it's truly incredible.
And it's also a mix of the compound effect. It's just
Hmm.
understanding that when you tackle everything in your life with tenacity and understand that you're doing it because of the bigger picture, ultimately you begin to reach that bigger picture and everything starts to fall into place and it makes sense and you understand why you started doing these things.
And circling back to patience, that's why you have to just stay the course. When you
Mhm.
know that you're doing it right, when you know that you're on the right path, it really, really does hurt sometimes when you look around you and it seems like, oh, so and so is doing so much better than me, and I know they're not doing the proper steps here or there.
Right.
And that's when they say comparison is the number one killer. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is who?
Yourself.
Yourself,
Yeah,
exactly. Because
absolutely.
as long as you're better than the guy you were yesterday, you are making progress. Even if it's inch by inch, brick by brick, you are building up that wall and you need the patience because I mean, nothing worth doing is going to just be overnight. Nothing.
Right.
And that's where greatness comes in is the fact that it's day by day.
Yeah.
Day by day.
Day to day. And day by day,
Yeah.
right? Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, I think a really important thing that we're talking about here is instilling the expectation of goal chasing and setting yourself down the new path of whatever you want to become better at. Whether it's as little as, right, like you said, being cleanly, just starting to pick up here and there, or it's something as big as Corey said, parenting. Whatever
Mhm.
you want to head down in the path of betterment in, just understand that it's never going to be easy to change doing what you're already comfortable with, but you already know it's not going to be easy. So So set that expectation for yourself and understand that moving forward, you're just going to have hiccups and there's going to be adversity and you're going to overcome them because that's what you do as a human being. You just do. You
And
overcome it.
and kind of one of our favorite quotes or like themes is that it's not that the challenges get easier, it's that you get better, you get stronger,
Yeah.
you keep moving forward through all these tough things, and you understand, you set the precedence, you understand that throughout all of this, you are still going forward, you're still moving,
Yeah.
you're still alive.
And that's I mean it's pretty much a prime. Have you ever worked in a kitchen or like anybody who has worked in a kitchen, you'll understand this reference. Like when you first started, everything that you touch burns you so bad. It hurts so bad, right? But as you move on, because when you first start, they call it baby hands. They're like, "Oh, you got baby hands, right? You can't touch the pans, you can't touch whatever you're cooking, anything like that." But as you go on, you just start to build up a resistance to it and you start to be able to tolerate the heat more, and that's what life is. Life, it doesn't, that the everything that you're touching in the kitchen doesn't get cooler. You just build a resistance to it and you no longer have baby hands, right? So that's
Exactly.
exactly what life is. Eventually you just build up enough resistance to it and you can move forward knowing that you're gonna overcome the obstacles.
And it's important to understand that when you are first on this path, especially if you're kind of poor with patience and practicing patience,
Hmm.
that is when the temptation to get off the path is going to be at an absolute high,
Yep.
because there is so many different things, there's so many different excuses, so many, the voice of ordinary, whatever it is,
Yeah.
there's going to be so many things trying to pull you specifically off that path.
Hmm.
And it's important to understand that once you keep pushing through, you'll eventually get the results.
Yeah. Yeah, man, patience is the core. Patience is the
Hmm.
root. If you don't have patience, you're not going to be able to build any discipline. You're not going to be able to really achieve much. I,
And it's tough. It is very tough.
yeah.
I struggle with patience a lot. I'm going to be blatantly honest. I really do. There's a lot of times where I get so frustrated because it feels like I'm doing everything right, and
Yeah.
I know it's just going to take time of continuing to do something right, because it is really easy to do something right once, feel good about yourself, and then flip right back to where you were.
Right. It's the complacency of it, right? Like I mentioned earlier, just when people have their belief systems and when they hit that ceiling, they're like, "Oh, cool. I can do it. That proved it to myself. I really don't need to keep going from here then, right? That's the most I ever need." And then they become complacent. It's exactly what I did, dude. And then I went, you kind of just settle back to the basics, exactly like we said. And now I'm
Because
having
if
to
you're not, sorry, if you're
no,
not
yeah,
moving forward,
yep.
you're
You're moving backwards.
moving
Yeah.
backwards.
If not progression, it's regression. And it's really important to keep that in mind. Even if it's just the little things to keep yourself healthy, keep yourself moving, do stuff like that. Just understand that you got to take care of yourself because this is the one body you got, you know what I mean? And it's not even about that. This is the one life you got. So work for the things that you want in life, whether it's your career, your financial, relationship goals, whatever it is. This is your one life, this is your one shot. Go and get after it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's no time to start like now. And
Nope.
again, along with everything, patience does get easier.
Mhm.
It becomes, you become more patient as you practice patience. It's a
Yes.
crazy concept, but it's true.
Yeah. You gotta practice it. If you don't
Hmm.
practice it, you're never gonna use it. You know what I mean? And then it's just gonna become a weak muscle. I mean, your mind is just like any other muscle you have in your body. If you want to practice discipline, time management, patience, you have to practice them, or else you're never gonna use it, and it's gonna go weak.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what do you say? You got anything else you want to add to today's episode?
Guys, just anyone that's really struggling with patience right now, just stay on the course, because if you're on the right path, it will get better. It will 100% get better. But I also think it's important to understand that patience is kind of like it makes sure that you're not doing it specifically for the results.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're result obsessive, it's kind of this endless emptiness once you get to that goal,
Right.
if you're not learning everything you need to from the journey. And that's a big part of patience itself.
Yeah.
So just understand that once you've started, whatever it is you're trying to attain, whatever it is, just keep on the course and really just understand that it's going to take time, and that that is a good thing, because if it didn't, then it's probably not something that's going to really benefit you.
Yeah, I think a good way to kind of exercise this is moving forward. When you're thinking about something that typically grinds your gears or something that makes you upset, something that you have no patience for, moving forward, focus on practicing flexing your patience muscle, right? So when it comes to these situations, something that usually makes you upset, something that really just makes you mad, instead take a step back and just take a deep breath and say, I'm going to practice using my patience and let's see how it goes. And it might not change the situation. You might still be just as mad, except you're holding your tongue this time. But as time goes on, it's going to change your outlook and it's going to change not only those certain situations, but how you face everything else moving forward.
It takes patience to practice patience.
That was so corny, dude, but I loved it. It takes patience to practice patience. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody so much who tuned into today's episode. Make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to come over to our Twitch. We are live at 7 p.m. every Wednesday. Link is in the
Mhm.
description. Make sure to come check us out.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. We love our YouTube fan base. We're just trying to hang out on Twitch with you guys because it's a lot more laid back. It's a lot of fun. And we're about to switch over as soon as we're done, as soon as we wrap this up officially. That's what we're going to be doing. So come check it out. Come see what you think. Come talk to us. Let us
Yeah.
know live. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we pretty much, as soon as this episode ends, we're pretty much just gonna hang out on Twitch for like 20 to 30 minutes, just for
Hmm.
people to come and talk to us. So you guys should definitely tune in every Wednesday.
Definitely. And we are sorry we missed last Wednesday. There was scheduling conflicts, but I did drop my solo episode. It was a day late. You want to know why?
Why? Tell me.
Because I didn't realize that you had to have the YouTube app opened while you're uploading the
Oh
video.
no,
And
really?
and so I checked it right before I went to bed last night,
Mm-hmm.
and it said it had like 20 minutes until it was posted.
Yeah.
So that's when I made all my posts and everything on social media that it was dropped. And then I looked this morning and it said it had 57 minutes left. And I couldn't understand why. So now it's uploaded. It's
Yeah.
on YouTube a day late than what I was planning on. But go check it out. So it's a pretty short one. And yeah, again, we're sorry we missed it. We're back on track and we're going to keep the streaming up. So
Absolutely. Happy Monday.
happy Monday.
Peace.